right, welcome into Monday's edition of Bet. I'm your host, Anita Marks, sporting an Odell Beckham Jr. shirt because, well, the Ravens play tonight. I'm hoping we see him just for a hot second. This will be the last week for Bet because we are moving shop. We're heading back east to Bristol, Connecticut. Bet will be back in action, but not until November. So what does that mean? This entire week, we're with you tonight. We're with you Wednesday, Friday. We're going to try to give you as much information, NFL Week 1, that you can digest to be ready to bet. Eric Moody joins me now. E, welcome in. Hope you're having a great night. We're going to spend a lot of time talking some NFL. And let's kick off the show with reaction or no action. If you recall, I know it's been a minute since we played this game. An NFL team will go 17-0 this season. And oh, by the way, you could wager on that at 18-1. Reaction or no action?
No action. No action from me. The last two teams to accomplish this feat were the 1972 Miami Dolphins and the 2007 New England Patriots. Now, I remember over the last 15 years or so, the Packers came close. I think back in 2011. 15-1 record. Same thing with the Panthers. They came close as well, but they were not able to get it done. The modern day NFL, Anita, it's very, very competitive. You also have numerous rules that cater towards the offensive side of the ball. And it's even tough for a team like the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes to even accomplish a feat like that. And one thing about Mahomes, he's 64-16. That's his career record as a starter. His best start to the season is only 5-0.
I'm going to go reaction here at 18-1. Why not? A lot of times, Eric, I like to wager on things that I'm going to root for and have some fun in doing so. And how about the New Orleans Saints? Follow me here, okay? The Brainiacs up in Bristol give them a 4.4% chance of being the last undefeated team this season. They have the easiest schedule of any team in the NFL. Their most difficult games at the Patriots, against the Jags, and against the Lions. I'll go on the record to say that if they win those 3 games, there's a really good shot that they will go undefeated, okay? They do not play an opponent ranked in the top 5. They play 5 games against opponents that are ranked in the bottom 5. They have a positive net rest advantage, which is really key. It's really, really important. I know a lot of times we don't spend enough time talking about that, especially how grueling and long and tedious the NFL season is, all the travel, everything in between. And also there is some luck regression that they are I'm anticipating them to have, right? So they were bottom 10 in the NFL last season in field goal luck, fumble luck, injury luck, and turnover differential. So I expect that to at least some of those categories to improve for the Saints. So just one of the teams that I think has a shot, I'm just saying, has a shot of going 17-0, and at 18-1, reaction for me. Let's go on the opposite side of the coin. So an NFL team will go 0-17. Now you could get this for 13-1. Reaction or no action?
The trend continues. No action for me. No, I must admit, Anita, it is very tempting. I'm looking at the Arizona Cardinals. They have instability at quarterback with Kyler Murray. Who knows when he's coming back? They've got a tough schedule. Although, they do have some winnable games on their schedule when you look at it. But then a similar narrative applies because I'm looking at teams like the Los Angeles Rams. They've got uncertainty. Who knows what Matthew Stafford's going to look like? The Washington Commanders, I know we're excited about the coaching changes and Sam Howell at quarterback, but again, a lot of uncertainty. And of course, the Raiders and the Titans. But it's just very difficult for a team to go an entire season without winning a game. This is the NFL. It's no way to quantify this with the stat, but these are all very prideful individuals, and a lot of things have to go right to go 17-0, and a lot of things have to go wrong to go 0-17. No action from me.
See, I'm saying no action here as well, because even as bad as I think a few of these teams are going to be, I still think that they have a shot of winning against equally as bad teams. So for example, Arizona Cardinals, I expect them to be god-awful, right? At least until Murray comes back. And even when he does come back, He doesn't seem to win a lot of ball games. They get to go up against the Rams twice. And oh, by the way, the Eagles, the last week of the season, and the Eagles might be resting some players. At that point, you never know. So there's a chance there. How about the Texans? They go up against the Colts twice, who just recently this week said that Anthony Richardson is going to be their starting quarterback. A lot of growing pains for Anthony Richardson this season. Also, they go up against the Falcons, the Panthers, actually the Falcons twice, obviously. The Bucs, their defense is really solid, and they have Baker Mayfield. So I don't expect them to go 0-17 this season. And I think the Colts, even though it is Anthony Richardson, I think they get at least one win. So those are my 4 worst teams in the NFL this season, right? Arizona, the Texans, the Bucs, the Colts, and the Rams. But I do believe that all of them have at least something in them where they'll be able to win at least one game. At least one game. All right, last but not least, the Kansas City Chiefs finished with the best record of the regular season. And you can get that at plus 380. The best record of the regular season at plus 380. Reaction or no action?
It's no action for me, but this was a very difficult one for me. The Chiefs, they consistently win the AFC West. Because of that, they're going to have a very difficult schedule. So that's something I factored in. That trend, will end up continuing this year. They won the Super Bowl, a tough schedule. But looking at their schedule in a little bit more detail, Anita, I think it's actually tougher on the back half of the schedule. And that really makes it problematic for a team trying to get the best regular season record where they have a difficult schedule. They won the Super Bowl, and every single team that they face week in and week out want to be the team that defeats the Super Bowl champion. So when I look at all those different factors, no action for me.
So no action for me as well. Dare I say, possibly, I think the Chargers win the division. I think the Chargers could be the best team in that division. I think people are sleeping on the Denver Broncos. I know they haven't looked great in preseason, but in Sean Payton, I trust. On top of that, they kick off the season against the Lions. We're going to get into that matchup in just a second. They have to travel to Jacksonville and play at Jacksonville. That's their 1-2 punch to start off the season, 1-2. And then their schedule is extremely difficult. They're at the Jets, against the Dolphins, against the Eagles, against the Bills, against the Bengals. They have some really tough competition. Their schedule is not a cakewalk. So no action for me. I don't believe that the Kansas City Chiefs end up with the best record in the NFL. As I said, they kick off the season, right? That Thursday night in September, it is going to be rocking. They're going to be, of course, receiving their Super Bowl rings and all the hoopla and all the excitement, and they're going to be going up against the Lions. So Kansas City right now, favored by 6.5. The over-under is 54.5. Have you gone to the window already for this first game of the season? And if so, how are you playing it?
Yeah, I'm going with the Chiefs here to cover the spread. You think about Kansas City, Anita. This is a fun football team to watch. You got head coach Andy Reid. He's a great head coach, one of the best offensive minds in the league. He's a national treasure. He's always providing us with crazy food takes. You got Patrick Mahomes. We know what he can do on the field. Travis Kelce, Isaiah Pacheco. And I know a lot of bettors and just people in general, whether it's fantasy betting, you name it, they're all in on the Lions this year. They had a solid season last year. Jared Goff, is coming off a career season. You've got Amon-Ra St. Brown. You've got the running game behind that stout offensive line. You've got Jahmyr Gibbs. You also have David Montgomery, a little thunder and lightning, combo that they have there. But I will tell you, Anita, my biggest concern is really the Lions' defense. They ranked near the bottom of the league last year in total yards per game and, points allowed. And that's a trend that can easily continue this year. And one thing that I've noticed, betting on a Super Bowl winner in week 1 has worked out well recently. Now, since Super Bowl 34, the Super Bowl winner has actually gone 13-7 against the spread. So I'm backing the Chiefs here.
I like that pick. To me, just 6.5, week 1, a little bit. I don't know about you, Eric, but I feel like we don't really truly know the true identity of a game or I should say a team, until at least the first 3 weeks of the season. And I just think 6.5 points for two teams that many are expecting to be competing and win their division is a little too many points for me. I'll tell you what I do like. I like the over. You just talked about the Lions defense, second guessing what potentially they're going to bring to the table. And let's keep in mind, as we know, the Kansas City Chiefs, they don't have all their horses in their stable, especially with their pass rush on the defensive side of the ball. And we saw Goff come out and really put on a show last season. Amon-Ra St. Brown, they've got a lot of weapons there to work with. They just drafted Gibbs, who I think is going to be a part of that pass attack as well. So I like the over here. I think a lot of points are going to be put up in this game, so I'm going to go over 54.5 points for game one of the NFL season. Now let's talk about one. This is probably one of the games I'm probably most excited to watch. Of course, big reason why I'm here in New York. I cover the Jets. But the Bills taking on the Jets. Week one, the Bills are favored at 1.5. It's going to be here in New York, New Jersey, really. Wink, wink. Let's not tell anyone. And the over-under is 47. Do you have a play in this week one matchup?
I do have a play in this game, and I'm actually leaning towards the Bills to cover. And you brought up something that brought a smile to my face. And everybody's excited about Aaron Rodgers' arrival, with the Jets. Can he elevate that offense to match the dominance that's on the defensive side of the ball? So I'm excited. I'm also excited to see Garrett Wilson. Can he be another version of Devontae Adams for Aaron Rodgers with his new team? And so the 1.5 point spread, from my perspective, essentially means that the game is like a pick'em. And you look at NFL games in general, and they're rarely decided by a 1 point or like a tie. And so one thing about the Bills, they have the best scoring differential in the AFC. And they still have a lot of their talent offensively, defensively, it's coming back. You look at Josh Allen last year, on opening night, he played very well against the Los Angeles Rams. He had 353 passing yards, threw 4 touchdowns. And so I do expect a similar performance from Allen and the Bills on Monday night. That's a team that's dominated the AFC East. They'll want to make a statement against the Jets, which is going to be probably one of their top competitors in that division. So they want to make a statement on opening night. So I'm going with the Bills here.
Yeah, I'm with you, lockstep. A really big concern about the Jets' offensive line. They still don't know who their starting five is going to be. It's been a rotating door, really, in regard to who's been able to practice, who's not. Dwayne Brown, who's expected to be their starting left tackle, has not been able to practice. So some big concerns about that offensive line, Eric. And we know the Bills, one thing they do have. I know we talk about the offense and Josh Allen all the time, but their front seven, arguably some of the best talent in the NFL. And so also you've got a Bills team coming in, a lot of consistency there from last year. Meanwhile, the Jets, a lot of obviously new things to learn with Nathaniel Hackett and Aaron Rodgers and the slew of unbelievable talent. But I think it's going to take a minute for them to gel. I just don't think the NFL did the Jets any favors by having them go up against the Buffalo Bills week one. This is right into the firing pan, man. That's for sure. All right, let's talk about some of the games and bets and wagers we like. Maybe our top 3 heading into week one of the NFL season. I'll let you go first.
Well, I know one that I'm drawn to like a moth to the flame is looking at the Texans going up against the Ravens. And so I love Baltimore here. I know it's 9.5 points. Kind of makes me queasy in a way, but you look at Baltimore, they loaded up on wide receivers this offseason. They got Odell Beckham Jr., they got Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman. Keeping my fingers crossed he stays healthy this season. You got a new offensive coordinator in Todd Monken. So Lamar Jackson should hit the ground running. No pun intended there. But the Texans, really one of the worst teams in the league last year. Now, I know they've made changes. New head coach, and I'm excited about DeMeco Ryan. They've got C.J. Stroud. But to your point earlier, Anita, it does take time for us to really determine, hey, what is the identity of this team and for things to gel. But having to face a team like Baltimore with Lamar Jackson and those playmakers on the road is really a huge mismatch, in my opinion. So I'll look at the Ravens, who convincingly take care of business at home.
I love it. I love that pick a lot. Again, Ravens favored by 9.5. The over-under is 44.5. I might even play the Ravens team total over. I can't wait to see this Ravens offense. For me, brace yourself. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. That's right. I get the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Steel Curtain at home with points. Are you kidding me? At 2.5? I might even buy it up to 3. The over-under is at 41. That steel curtain, they had somewhat of a makeover, right? They bring in that hard-hitting linebacker, Holcomb. Also, they draft Joey Porter Jr., who gave the ball to his dad, which was awesome in their last preseason game. You know what you get from Watt when he's active and attractive. Last season, this team was 8-2. Meanwhile, Kenny Pickett in this offense, I think they take another step forward. They add Allen Robinson. Granted, didn't do much elsewhere in LA, but from what I understand, Kenny Pickett and Allen Robinson have created some really, really good chemistry. So I think this is a team that checks all the boxes. And Eric, I'm still not sold on a quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers. You know, Brock Purdy is coming off of that surgery, that injury that he had. And I think quarterback is the most important position in all of professional sport. The 49ers look great on paper, but without a star-studded quarterback, I'd rather go with the Pittsburgh Steelers at home with Mike Tomlin on week 1. Game 2 that I know you like, it's Tennessee going up against New Orleans. The Saints, I talked about them earlier. The Saints favored by 3. The over-under is 41. So this is one of your top 3. Tell us why and what side you're on.
All right, so on my side, I'm going with the underdog here. You know, I like Tennessee in this matchup. Now I know Derek Carr will make his New Orleans Saints regular season debut at home, but you know there's no Alvin Kamara in this game. I'm like, he's new to the team. He does have Chris Olave, does have some other playmakers, but it's really more so about the Titans here for me. That's why I think this will end up being a close game where the Titans could outright win, but I do believe that they'll cover. I think the game will be close. You've got Ryan Tannehill, right? I'm like, he's healthy going into this year. And it may come as a surprise with how he performed last year, but he actually ranked 5th in yards per attempt among quarterbacks who played 10 or more games. Another stat, I'm like, you've got one thing about Tannehill, lost my train of thought there for a second. I'm like, he's an excellent deep ball thrower. He actually had the 9th highest deep ball completion percentage. And you look at the receivers that he's throwing to. He's got DeAndre Hopkins now. He's got Traylon Burks. And we haven't even talked about Derrick Henry in the running game. Like, since 2019, you look at Henry, he's averaged 110 rushing yards per game over that time frame. So I'm looking at the Titans, Anita. I do believe that they can pull an upset here. I would bet on the underdog Titans.
So earlier in the show, I tell you I think the Saints are going to go undefeated, and one of your top 3 picks is the Tennessee Titans. Wow. Okay. All right. I'm just going to move on. Let's go to Jacksonville going up against the Indianapolis Colts. I'll lay the 3.5 to 4 with Jacksonville. The over-under is 43.5. I was shocked that Anthony Richardson did not play this past week in preseason. This dude has very little experience starting as a quarterback in college, right? University of Florida, only played 1 season, I think 433 snaps, something like that. His completion percentage was 50% against subpar competition. If anything, you need to get this guy ready if he's going to be your starting quarterback. Dare I say tank this season, Eric, for this Colts team. I think that might be their philosophy, and I'm not mad at them for it. Think about it. They get the number 1 overall pick in next year's NFL draft with Caleb Williams coming out or Drake May. They're going to get a ton of draft capital if that's the case for a team that's going to want to trade with him to go out and get their quarterback. So I'm not mad at you, but boy, I love this Jacksonville team. Trevor Lawrence, 2nd season with Doug Peterson, along with that defense, Calvin Ridley, all the things. Boy, I think it's a steal here, only laying 4. I think the Colts get absolutely destroyed in week 1. Last but not least, I know you're on Cincinnati. In Cleveland, Cincinnati, even though Joe Burrow dealing with that calf issue, they're still favored by 2. The over-under is 47.5. What side, what's your play here?
Yeah, we have another game with the narrow spread. So I do like the Bengals here, and I'd be shocked if Joe Burrow is not on the field in week 1. I'm like, this is a guy that is a competitor. He is not missing that game, and he will be just fine. But you look at the Bengals last year, Anita. I'm like, they were one of the best teams to bet on last year. 13-6 against the spread overall. 8-3 against the spread, like on the road. And I mentioned Joe Burrow, one of the top quarterbacks in the league. I'm like, he's throwing to Jamar Chase. He's got T. Higgins, 2 elite wide receivers. And the Bengals have continued to invest significantly in their offensive line, so he should have ample protection. Now, I know on the Browns side of things, Deshaun Watson should be better this year. He's had a full offseason to really get acclimated with Cleveland, the coaching staff, the personnel that's there, so the Browns will be better. And one thing about divisional games in the NFL, I'm like, these games just get nasty. Teams don't like each other. They're going all out. But when I look at a spread that's just 2 points, and you look at the body of work of Cincinnati, I'm very comfortable backing them on the road to cover, but to outright win.
Last but not least for me, it's the Giants. Give me the Giants at home, getting the points. I love it. The over-under is 46.5. But if we saw a little bit of microcosm, we had a little cup of coffee with the Giants this week with Daniel Jones in that first-team offense. You saw a lot of Daniel Jones to Darren Waller. I think we're going to see a lot of that this season. Jalen Hyatt scored a touchdown. This is not your grandfather's. Well, actually, that would have been when Eli Manning was quarterbacking. But this is a much different Giants offense that we're going to see this season, right? It's not all going to be about Saquon Barkley and Daniel Jones running the football. The Giants went out and invested in a lot of offensive talent, wide receivers, tight end, to build around Daniel Jones after they paid him a real nice salary this season. Better offensive line. This is going to be more of a pass-happy offense. And then you've got the luxury of a very athletic Daniel Jones as well as one of the top running backs in the NFL and Saquon Barkley to accentuate the passing game. Better offensive line. I think their defense takes a next step up. I think the Dallas Cowboys are going to be in store. I would not be surprised if the Giants upset the Dallas Cowboys in Week 1. So stay tuned. Brace yourself. Those are my 3 favorite plays as well as yours. Eric, so great having you on Bet. Have a great night, my friend.
Oh, yeah, you too. It's always great, Anita. Take care.
You got it. All right, as always, we like to end with before I let you go. And let's rewind before we move forward, right? We just completed the second leg of the FedEx Cup Championship, where we are going to crown a champion for this golf season. And oh, by the way, he walks away with an extra $18 million. So leg 2 was this past week in Illinois. And of course, Viktor Hovland was the victor. That's right. Unbelievable course record, 9 under. The back 9, he shot a 28. It was unbelievable. It was his 5th PGA Tour win, 2nd of the season, because he did win the Memorial as well. So he's coming in to this Tour Championship. Now we've gone from 70 to 50. Now we've got the top 30, and he's coming in. This is his 4th time in his career that he is participating in Atlanta in the Tour Championship. And boy, let's take a look. Because he won this past week, look where he is. So Scottie Scheffler, number 1 overall because of the FedEx Cup table standing. So he comes in already 10 under. But because Victor won last week, he's coming in at 8 under. You could get him at plus 450 to win this whole damn thing and walk away with $18 million. So just to kind of give you an idea of how this works, and you gotta like Viktor Hovland. A few things about this course in Atlanta. Number 1, it's a parkland course. What does that mean? You've got to be accurate off the tee. You can't stray. Another thing, Bermuda grass in the rough is rough. It's high, it's difficult, and the greens are usually firm and quick. So you need everything in your bag. You need to be long off the tee. You need to be accurate off the tee. You need to have accuracy. You need to be good out of the rough, and you need to putt well. And that's exactly what we saw from Viktor Hovland this past week. I think he picks up where he leaves off. And just the mere fact that he's already going in at 7 under, there's 3 shots back from Scottie Scheffler, who's been struggling with his hot stick and his putter for quite a while now. Probably the last 2 months on tour, 126 in strokes gained putting. So for me, I think the value and the money right now is on Viktor Hovland, feeling really good about himself after this week's win and where he stands right now heading into the Tour Championship. Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in to Bet. Really do appreciate it. Again, we're back with you on Wednesday and Friday. This is our last week. We're going to shut down until November, and we are here to get you ready for NFL Week 1. We'll see you Wednesday.